Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews here with Chris Stokes. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yourself?
Oh, good, mate. Yeah, doing good. How have things been sort of through the lockdown and through the virus and everything sort of on your end?
Yeah, it's strange times, isn't it? But it's sort of got used to it now since it's been 14 weeks or so. So yeah, it's been all right. Just missing football and all that sort of stuff. But apart from that, it's been nice to spend some time with the family and spend a lot more time at home than what I usually do.
And then obviously you're with Forest Green at the moment, and I saw that you had joined up with the Football Manager stuff as well. You were taking part on the Football Manager side of it as Forest Green, were you on that? So that kind of gave you a bit of something to do as well.
Yeah, it's just trying to keep myself busy, doing stuff really. I've always been sort of, as you sort of say, into sort of games. I like PlayStation and Football Manager, and always since I've been younger. So yeah, they sort of asked me to do it, and I was happy to take part. I'm not really doing much else, so yeah, it was one of those things just to keep involved with that football sort of side, and yeah, just keep myself busy really.
And how are you getting on, or how did you get on with that?
I think I beat the world champion Football Manager, so that was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I got knocked out by Lee Camp of Birmingham, but
Okay.
Forest Green versus Birmingham's not really a good matchup.
Yeah. So we'll crack on with obviously some questions about Stevenage. Obviously, you weren't really with the club for very long. You were only with the club for what, sort of 30 games, around about 30 games or so.
Yeah, 6 months or so I was in there. Yeah, so short stint.
Yeah. So what sort of was the main reason why you joined up with Stevenage in the first place? Obviously, with the situation with Bury, that was why you signed. Obviously, you left Bury because of everything that was happening with them and their issues and whatever. And you were a free agent, and the club sort of swooped in and got you. But on your side, what was the main reasons?
So the financial side at Bury's, we weren't getting paid on that sort of side, and it was made clear that we all had to come find new clubs and that sort of side. So it was basically the same sort of scenarios you'd be if you're out of contract anyway, that sort of side. So you sort of, as usual, you get in touch with your agent, and your agent then goes out and speaks to clubs and that sort of stuff. And sort of Stevenage was sort of the main one that kept on coming back and always giving me the most positive sort of thing of wanting to sign me. And that's what, as a player, you always want to always feel wanted and that sort of side. And yeah, Dino was on my case from probably day one. He was constantly ringing me up even when I was on holiday. It's like, Dino, give me a couple of weeks. But he was on my case constant. And it was, when you've got sort of a manager that really wants you. And to be fair, as Stevenage done the year before, they just missed out on the playoffs.
That's right, yeah.
Selling the club to me as that it would be a club that was looking to get promoted the following season. So it's all the things you want to hear as a player, really. And it was, he sold it well to me. I'll come down to the training ground and you see the facilities at Stevenage. And for a League Two club, it's fantastic. And so once I was down at the club, I met Dino, I met the rest of the staff, and met a few of the players. I was delighted to be in. It was a shame how it worked out, really.
And then obviously, as you said, you're only there for sort of 6 months. Was there sort of a main factor in that, where you're only there for a short stay?
Well, the deciding factor in the end for me was more family reasons than anything else. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
I had two close family members passed away, unfortunately for me, and I was away from home quite a lot. And I got people who actually don't know this, who don't, obviously, from it sort of got kept in house. Really, I was a few games around Christmas time with I got really ill, so with all what was going on, I got diagnosed from the doctor and that sort of side. And to be fair, Stevenage were good as gold, and me really just said Chris is probably injured or what. I can't remember how it went down with that sort of side. So I was away from football quite a lot. I wasn't in a good, as you say, sort of good place. And Forest Green club that is near my family, so with that sort of side, there was Stevenage was good as gold. I sat down with, I think it was first of all, I sat down with Mark Sampson at the time, just before I must have got the job, and explained the whole situation with him and said, look, it was also the January window, so I could actually then the club. So I explained the whole situation, and Mark was fully understanding. Sort of said, well, I'm not the manager anymore. This is literally just before Graham Wesley got it, so he said Graham Wesley manager, you have to go and explain to him. So try and explain to a manager, to a person you never met.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't sort of, I think to be fair to, like, obviously Graham wanted to keep me, but I wasn't in the place anymore to give what I could to the club. And I said, I'll keep trying. I'm here to do what I can. And I think I played Northampton. I think it was Northampton away after. I think I probably not. Well, I was in bed for probably a week or so. I didn't really do any sort of physical exercise for about a month, 6 weeks.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was like, I need you to play. And I was like, well, I'm not one to shy away from things and that sort of stuff. I do what I can for you. And it sort of come towards the end of sort of January, and I was doing that, but I think he could see I was getting more and more and deteriorating that sort of side. And he said, look, right near the end of the window, you can leave, and Forest Green come in. And then for me, it was to get back to him where my family are and be around him with my family at the time. I put time I need for myself and my mental sort of health. It was probably what I needed. And since then, it's been an uphill curve for me, which is going well. So it wasn't necessarily with all what's going on with football. I didn't want to be seen as shying away from it. I gave all what I can to Stevenage, but my mental sort of side and family reasons, it was one I had to take, really.
No, that's fair enough. Obviously, you did that for a very good, valid reason. So fair play. Like, yeah.
So I playing because it was one that I didn't really want to come out and say it at the time because of all what was going on. It was, and I think the club did well. So it was one where it was sort of kept in house, and it's not really sort of explained how it was going to be, really. So I think it should be a sort of side where I should come out and explain really what actually happened, because it's said I didn't really have a bad word to say about the club. I did actually got on really well with all the staff, the players, etc. It just didn't work out for me, from his family sort of side, and obviously health wise.
That's fair enough. So in regards to the sort of spell that you had at the club, obviously you had 30 games there, and you managed to keep 11 clean sheets out of that. So that's still something to be proud of as well.
Yeah, it was defensive sort of side, and especially with Farms and goal. Farms is an unbelievable keeper. We had a good record keeping, obviously, the ball out the back of the net, but I think I was putting the ball in the opposition's net. So I think that's where we really struggled, and we didn't have, with Newts getting injured and Kurt didn't really replicate what was obviously hoped of him, and with Jason Cowley coming in, he didn't produce the goals. And I think there was numerous players, forward sort of players, that were brought in to do that. And if you're going to get promoted, you can't score the amount of goals that we did. And even the City, you can't even stay in the league with the score amount of goals we scored.
Yeah.
I feel bad, and as defensive sort of wise, you're trying to keep them ball at the back of your net, but
you can see that. Sorry, mate. You can see that there was a lot of like issues up front, because there were so many players that come in that position. Obviously, there was Simeon towards the end, and Macca, and loads of others as well. Jake
Cassidy, was it Cassidy?
Yeah.
As we say, to be fair, the club tried, but goal scorers are hard to come by, and we couldn't find one, and we didn't find. Maybe it hadn't been probably wasn't just the strikers. It might have been the supply to the strikers as well. We just didn't ever find that formula to score goals. And so it's this simple thing: when you don't score goals, you're not going to win any games. And that was fair. That was the overall factor. And then we kept on keeping the goals late on, where we probably were pushing for a goal, trying to desperately get one.
Yeah, there was quite a few like last minute goals or injury time goals. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a killer, because said we, as a defence, you hanging on thinking, please come on, someone put the ball in the other, in the opposition's net, and it was never coming. Then you go all out to try and get a goal in the end, because you're on your own there, and it's hard. The amount of times it happened, it killed us, really.
And that was it. It was the same under any manager as well. So you can't look at the manager. It's just something that it's just unfortunate. You're just trying to push on to get an equaliser, or potentially a winner sometimes yourself, and it just it backfires on you.
Yeah, so last year with Dino had his formation of playing, and then it doesn't help with the amount of managers we have, but that's football. These things happen, and Dino had his way of playing, didn't work out. Mark come in, sort of tried to find a way of playing. It took him a little while. Then I thought we sort of did all right, and everyone was sort of on board of Mark, and then then Mark went to obviously Graham Wesley come in, and he obviously had a whole new idea of playing.
Yeah, different way altogether. Yeah.
In January sort of time, whole new load of players come in. It was like constant thinking, where actually are we? We never actually nailed down, right, this is what we're going to be, this is how we're going to play, and sort of no manager ever got that time to do that.
And it was like, the start of this season, I'll say this from the fans' perspective, it was very strange to see so many people come in and so many people leave the club, considering like how close we were to the playoffs last season. It was very strange to have that much change.
Yeah, I didn't think there would. When I joined, it wasn't. Dino sort of sold it to me. We're just going to be little bits of the puzzle to fix, because I said you're seventh in the league. It doesn't mean you need to overhaul the squad. So I wasn't sort of aware of that. But then I think sort of he probably maybe got his hand pulled a bit to do that because of what happened with all the injuries we didn't get in pre-season, where I don't think anyone's seen that coming. The amount of defense, especially defensive injuries we had, was ridiculous. It was left, right, and centre really. We're getting injuries, and I think that sort of probably cost Dino his job in the end, of where we never probably put out a settled team. So we went to the first game of the season with a team that we never even worked on in training. So
the Salford game,
you go to Salford and you haven't even got a team you actually worked on. So it's that I don't think that helped Dino. And then obviously Mark gets a job who's then not worked the sort of he did work with the players, but he's got a whole new philosophy how he wants to play. So then he can't bring anyone in because it's the transfer window's closed, and then Graham Westy gets the job in January time, and he has to then find a whole new group of players that wants to fit into his style of sort of play, and then he goes and loses his job, and then you got Revs who's coming in, who's got to work with that players that who obviously don't fit into his style of play. So you're constantly fighting a battle really, and it was never. It didn't clearly work.
No, absolutely. But then you hear Rev speak now, and he's very positive about the chances for next season. Obviously, getting back out of the National League now into the Football League for next year, and he's made some early signings, and he's kind of dipped into the National League and brought players there that can do a job and are sort of highly rated players. So he's already identifying the targets for next year, and that's always a good sign to get it done nice and early.
Yeah, definitely. I think with what's gone on, the situation at the moment with with COVID and stuff, like clubs are reluctantly not trying to sign anyone to see Stevenage going out there and getting their targets that they have. Obviously, Revs will have his sort of players he want to sign, and he's got 3 in at the moment, so it must be working. And I said Revs was brilliant with all the lads that was there. And I really enjoyed working with Revs in the time. He wasn't obviously the manager when I was there, but being a coach inside, you could see he was definitely got all the credentials to be a manager, with Mark around as well. Definitely well. And with that Lenny Lawrence, is that his name?
Lenny. Yeah, the very experienced. That
could be a little good combination for him.
Yeah, so hopefully that will pay off, and the experience will help Alex out. But we'll just have to wait and see really with that one. So obviously there was a lot of injuries, as you said at the start of the season. Obviously, how much does that disrupt momentum going in from sort of pre-season into a very tricky first game of the season away at Salford as well, who obviously just got promoted?
That's because in pre-season we worked on, obviously Dino had his style of play and how he wanted to play, and we worked on it all the way through pre-season. And I think it come to the first game of the season, and I think Jamie Fielden started that game.
That's right. He's very young,
he was never really involved in the teams through pre-season. He was obviously coming in bits and parts, but he never started in the team in pre-season game. And then for him to get chucked in, I think he played left wing back in that first game next alongside me, and it was like, well, you don't mind that sort of side, but when you've not really worked on it, and then all of a sudden we're playing like a different formation, it was crazy. But that's football, and these things happen. And to be fair, Dino, he sort of tried to then build on it. He brought Al Habd in and stuff like that, and he then got injured. So it was constant of players that we brought in never really fitted it into the mould of what Dino wanted to do, or got injured. So I think that's what cost him his job.
And then in regards to, obviously you said that you played at left back and you also played sort of centre as well in a free. What was your sort of favourite position out of the two, or was he sort of you're just happy to play wherever and sort of do the best for yourself and for the team?
I enjoy both roles because both roles bring their sort of two different things there. The left wing back role or left back role is you get the chance to progress at the pitch a bit more, be hard at the pitch, and I sort of enjoyed that role at Stevenage where I was putting lots of balls in the box and creating chances, and it's frustrating when the ball doesn't go in the net, but I enjoy that sort of side of being up there and being involved where you can obviously score some goals, and then you got the centre half role where it's got its vice where you're constantly trying to keep the ball at the back in net, and I quite enjoy the defensive sort of side as well, where I think especially when I was playing next to Scotty and sort of stuff like that, when you play against experienced heads who sort of good leaders and good knowledge of the game. And I got on really well with Scott. He was my roommate as well. We travelled away, and someone like him was a great player to play next to, and I really enjoyed that as well.
And what's Scott like as a captain? What was he like as as a leader? Was he?
Yeah, he's top lad. That's what I think. That's especially with a captain. You need someone who's going to be in the dressing room. He's going to be leading you as a dressing room, and that's what we had with Scott. He was a top lad away from the football pitch as well, not just on it. And said he's experienced, said he knows a lot about the game, and said he's got the full package really of being on the football pitch. He leads from the front and quality player, and then away from the field he's a top lad as well. So yeah, he's got the full package of being a captain, and I think the team is going to need that going forward with him being there from what he's seen, what's happened now with last season. I think he'd be even more determined to get the club back to where it should be, really.
Yeah, and I think it was big that he signed the new contract as well. That was huge.
Huge, yeah, because I think he knows Revs as well. He will know Revs' philosophies, and he know how Revs will want to work, and I think that's going to help as well, because he'll be able to bring that through to the dressing room when obviously Revs isn't around, and that he's have to drum that into the boys and get the boys going, and hopefully the boys buy into it, and it won't be what last season was.
Yeah, so we've got a message here from Andy Calvert. Andy said, was you surprised that they didn't allow Sampson to become the full-time manager?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I think it was, especially in with the lads as well. The lads were shocked when it did happen. But yeah, it was with Mark. I really enjoyed how Mark was a brilliant coach, brilliant manager, and he had his way of playing where I actually really enjoyed it. He went to a formation I liked, and we sort of nailed down of getting results. But we never actually turned them draw. I think we got a lot of draws. We never
didn't turn them into wins. Yeah.
But I think if Mark had that opportunity in January, I think he had a lot of targets drawn up of where he would bring his players into how he would want to work. And I think then if Mark had been given that opportunity, I think it would have been a lot different scenario.
I think that's probably true as well. Like, you could see the upturn in sort of fortunes a little bit under Mark, and it was a little bit strange to go back to Graham for the fourth time as well. Like, I think you should have given it to Mark and just seen it out to the end of the season. Yeah,
I think nothing against Graham. It's just when you've got Mark who's been there from the start and he knew the group, he knew all the lads, and the lads had bought into how he was want to play as well. That I think that's key. If you're gonna do well, you need the lads to buy into it, and he had the dressing room fully on his side as well. So I think going into January, he knew exactly what he wanted. He would have moved out who he didn't want.
Yeah, and
been a massive overhaul, because it would only been bits and parts of probably maybe a couple of forwards and maybe one or two midfielders or something. They moved out what he didn't want, but then when you've got Graham coming in who wanted to play a completely different way, and some lads when he come in, you have to try and get rid of quite a lot of them to bring what he wants to bring in. So it is a big gamble when you do that, because you never know how it's going to go, and say how it went. It's more like you're going to go that way than go well, because you're going to have to overhaul the squad in January in the middle of the season, which is it's difficult to do. So
it's crazy. And there was a squad of, I think it was about 30-something players, or 32, 33 players as well. So a big squad.
Yeah, exactly. And then I said, if you're going to change the style of play as well in the middle of the season and try and where we were, I think we're right near the bottom of the league come January when Graham come in as well. So it's a difficult task. And I think if we just nitpicked a little bit and just bought in 3 or 4, that would have done the job for us. I think we would have been fine. But that's speaking hypothetically. I can't say that's obviously for definite, because I don't know how the season. No one knows how the season would have gone. But
no, absolutely.
Mark should have been given that opportunity, especially with the bracket he had from the dressing room as well.
Then he just followed up and he said, you could see the way that Mark wanted to play, but I don't think he had the players that allowed his ideas to come to fruition. It was a shame from the fans' perspective. So basically, as you were saying, he obviously coming up to January, he needs a whole new sort of rebuild again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think with Mark, I don't think he had his way of playing, and he was trying to. It took him a little while to get that how he wanted to play, but said the lads brought into it, and as I said, he would have moved 4 or 5 out and brought 4 or 5 in, and that would have been fine, because that's what we needed anyway. We could clearly needed help of getting some strikers or getting a couple of midfielders or creating midfielders, for example, of getting the ball in the back of the net. Because I think defensively we were fine. It was just we couldn't score goals, and we never found. If you don't give Mark that opportunity to do that, was a bit unfortunate, really.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. I think it is a bit unfortunate, and it's all ifs and buts really. So yeah, it's a learning curve.
You don't know for certain Mark could have been given them tools and it could have gone the same way. But I think it was only fair he had that chance. But I said I don't own the football club, and I think the chairman he was desperate to keep the club in the football league, and sometimes you make the wrong decisions, and that's probably what happened.
Yeah, I think that's right. So obviously, you weren't really with the club for that long, but what's your sort of standout game from when you were there?
Probably ones we won. Yeah, it was actually on the football pitch. It was. I can't say there was any really standout moment because even the games we won was games that we probably should have won anyway. So it was disappointing probably the majority of the times we were playing because it was always, even when we were winning games at the start, we should have been near the top anyway. So there was never really that excitement that we won a game during the start of the season because it was like, well, we should be winning the games anyway. So it was frustrating. It was obviously I've signed a 2-year contract at Stevenage. I was there for the long haul. I bought into it, but it just it didn't go the way. I think anyone didn't see it going that way. Everyone probably was, even from a fan's point of view, from anyone's point of view that was involved with the football club. You finish 7th in the season, you think, here we go, next season we're going to be right up there again, and no one really seen this coming. And it was a very disappointing time on probably the whole time on the football pitch. I can't see there's any really standout moment really.
What about like the Checker Trade Trophy? Obviously, it got to the quarterfinal of that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was the Checker Trade was like sort of a distraction from the league. You sort of forget, we're at the bottom of the league. You sort of got a free hit in this competition because you're not really ranked or anyway. You just play. It's just a competition. You just go for the next round. So yeah, the Checker Trade was a good one, but it was sort of frustrating at the same sort of time because you're thinking, I just want to play a league game. I want to get out of this position we're in. I don't really want to be playing this game that, everyone wants to play at Wembley, for example. Everyone wants to win a trophy, but there was probably more important things on the occasion at the whole time. I've done it with Coventry. I actually won and then got relegated with Coventry, so I know exactly what it was like. Yeah, it's great you win a trophy, but you go and get relegated, and it counteracts it a bit. And I think the most important thing was that we stayed in the league, and you sort of don't have them distractions of a checker trade, really.
Yeah, Andy's just put a good point in there. Actually, it's weird to say defensively we were near enough as good as the golden era or Daisy, like Ronnie, Robbo, Ash, Lairdy. Yet we still find ourselves in a relegation scrap. Yeah, that's 100%. If you look at the back 4 or 5, like with Farms and Luther at right back and Scott and Ben, for example, in the centre, and then yourself or Tyler on the left, like it's still a really, really good back 5.
We sort of played a back 3. It was sort of how Mark the most time I sort of enjoyed it was when probably Tyler was left back. It was me, then Ben, then Scott, and then Luther sort of right wing back, and then we sort of found a little way of playing. It was defensively we were solid, even when sometimes we went to a back 4 of, say it was Ben or how you wrote it out. Then it was good. Defensively we were fine. Even with TVC, you've got another excellent defender there as well. We were blessed with good defenders, but we weren't blessed with players. Your Kenners didn't stay fit. Your Dinos didn't stay fit.
Yeah.
Your Snoops didn't stay fit.
Josza,
Josza didn't stay fit. Your Kurtz didn't bring the goals. Jason Kelly didn't come, and he's your number 9. Your number 9 didn't score. Danny Newton gets injured. I could go on and on and on, which is you're not gonna. It's never gonna go well like that. And it was it's making excuses. Maybe saying that we had the injuries, we still should have done it well anyway because we had a good enough squad to do well. But if you don't score goals, you're not going to win any games. No,
absolutely. So obviously, who was the sort of best youth prospect at the club? Obviously, there's quite a few. There's like Mackay, and there's a few. Is there anyone there that you really think will be able to come into maybe next season and kind of kick on?
Yeah, especially that you've touched on Mackay now. He was like a left sort of defender as well, so I worked with him quite a bit, and he's got bags of potential. And you can definitely see him being one. Maybe if Stevenage do drop down into the National League, he might get the opportunity that he might have not got if the Stevenage stay in League Two. So I think if Stevenage stay in League Two, it might be a bit too early for him. But
yeah,
actually, I think he definitely could step up. In play. And he's got actually with a club like Stevenage as well. They always invest in their youth and give their youth opportunities. So he's definitely one. And with Louis Fernandez as well, he was one who got his opportunity with the injuries that he had, and he stepped in brilliantly. He's definitely got that sort of that being a defender. You need to be aggressive and be a man, and he was definitely like that. He was brilliant as well. So I think him and maybe Mackay, from a defending point of view, I think it's probably easier for me to talk on defenders than it is for sort of forward players. So them two definitely got potential to maybe next season get opportunities.
Yeah, hopefully. Like, it'd be nice to see some of the younger guys come in and kind of cement their places as well.
Yeah, I think that's always important, especially with what's going on now at the moment. Teams aren't going to be able to go and sign loads and loads of players, and obviously on good wages. So you're going to rely on your youth, and especially with a club like Stevenage who do give their youth opportunity and have got a good youth system. It's a great chance for them youth players to get the opportunity, and hopefully they will step up and have a good season.
And then we've got, obviously, let's have a look here. Yeah. Who was the best player that you played against when you were at Stevenage, or even in your career?
In my career, Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
In Stevenage, I'm trying to think, he was a sort of standout player last year. Probably centre half. When I played centre half, we played that Vadim Oliver. He was his elbows were in my face.
From Northampton.
Yeah, so he just one that rings a bell in my head. I think he was punching me left, right, and centre. So he was a big handful. And then it's hard to call it a sort of a stand-up play last year. I can't really think of one off the top of my head.
No, that's fair enough. Obviously, Northampton went on and they've just won the playoff final quite convincingly as well against Exeter. And did you see that? And did you see how they were dominant that game, weren't they?
Yeah, he was very good that game as well. I think that he's a big physical presence for them, and they are a big physical presence team. And to fair to Northampton, they bullied off the park.
Would you ever consider going into coaching, either for a team or community coaching? Yeah,
definitely. It's one I want to get into with being involved with football. All my life, all I've done is football. So I think it's right. I give back when I finish playing that. I want to give back to the younger side and help as much as I can. It was nice with Stevenage as well. So a lot of youth players sort of coming through, and being an older sort of experienced player, I was always interested to give my help as much as I can and give my thoughts and trying to help them as much as I could. So yeah, coaching is definitely one that I want to get into when I finish playing.
Okay. Let's have a look here. So yeah, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but not really. So what are your thoughts on the club getting relegated to the conference and everything that's going to be happening next season under Alex? And you see he's already brought those 3 players in. He's kind of shipped out 12 or 13 already as well. What's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, it's disappointing that even when I left the club, I was always supporting it from afar anyway. I didn't want the club to go down. I felt for the boys, I felt for the staff. Even though I wasn't there, I still felt part of it because I did play 30-odd games. So I was always cheering the team on from afar and hoping that there's still a little bit of hope right now, isn't there? Still I think the EFL appealed the sanction today.
Yeah, they did today or yesterday, yeah.
So yeah, there's still hope, and you never know. I don't think the chairman's going to give up on that one anyway. I don't think it's right if you do pay your players. Why should Macclesfield not face the punishment of going down? Like, you can't. How does that? It doesn't really make sense. So yeah, I think that's up to the EFL anyway. And with them looking to appeal, it looks like there is something in there that they're not happy with. So you never know how it's going to go anyway. But yeah, I think a restructure is needed. You can't keep the same group that has had season what's just gone. I don't think that's right. And all right, lads, we're going to keep this. I don't think the fans will buy into it as well.
No.
We're going to keep the same group of team that's just won 2 games the whole season. I don't think you can do that as much as you don't want to have an overhaul of your team. But I think if anyone needs a hold of the team, it is Stevenage right now. And I think the the whole recruitment probably last year wasn't good enough, and the players that brought in didn't live up to the bidding, maybe, or they didn't live up to how they should have played, or they got injured. So I think it would be really key for Alex to get it right. And so the free signings he has brought in so far, that sort of you sort of stealing signs, good non-league players that can step into the Football League or get you out the National League if that's how it's going to go down. So hopefully there's more of them signings in. So you still got your Scott Cuthberts there, for example, and if you maybe like your Newtons or your Farmans do end up staying, I don't know. I do keep in better see what's going on. So you never know with all what's going on. Them two might end up staying as well, and I think them two would be huge for the football club if even one of them could stay. So yeah, I think that's the sort of players you need to go down. I think Alex knows that as well. It does help. He was there last season as well, so he would have seen it all. And I think he knows exactly what he wants to get the club either back out the National League and back into the Football League, or have a lot better season next season in League Two.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I've got a lot I want to say on the Macclesfield thing, but I'm not going to say it on stream because I'm quite
I was involved in Bury in that sort of side where you don't get paid, and you've got to have more sanctions than what Macclesfield have had. You can't just get deducted little points.
Yes, they've deducted quite a lot of points, but then if you look at the table now, there's if we were to win that game in hand, for example, we'd have overtaken them.
That's what you see.
And that's football. Yes, we've won 2-3 games all season, but it's 90 minutes. Anything happens in 90 minutes. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day.
That's what no one predicted what would happen with all this COVID as well. Actually, if the season had carried on, would Macclesfield have to pay their players for the rest of the season anyway?
Yeah.
Probably. So I think furlough has saved Macclesfield massively because the government can pay them now. So on that side, you don't even know if they're going to pay their players in the season anyway. So it is all a complete mess, and I think the EFL know that. That's why they look to appeal it. So there must be something in it, and then fingers crossed it does work out for teams that they end up doing in the Football League, because I think it's right to deserve that it does happen if there is trouble. The trouble is that is published with Macclesfield.
Yeah, 100%. And if you look at even the teams above us, if we were to play out the rest of the season, there was 6 or 7 teams above us, and we were to play every single one of them until the season had finished and concluded.
Yeah, you never know. Like you look at Charlton in the Championship, who were in the if it had all stopped, they'd have been relegated, and now all of a sudden they've won 2-3 games and they're looking up the table. So yeah, it is harsh, but I think you got teams like Tranmere as well are in the same sort of situation, aren't they? They've been relegated. One who've probably rightly they were on a uphill bit of form. I think they won 3 games in a row and had a game in hand, and it's criminal. But I think with what's happened, I think with even more so with the financial sort of side with Macclesfield, I think it's one of them. We have to wait and see what happens there. Yeah,
and just hopefully it will kind of work out in Steamage's favour. But then it's kind of obviously I'm with you. I don't think Phil's going to settle for that, and I also think that Rev's kind of preparing either way. So it's all a matter of he's just bringing in the players that he wants for whatever division we end up in.
I think he's got the advantage as well where he actually can wait and see which players he brings in as well, because nobody's signing anyone at the moment anyway. So miss out on targets, or he might miss out on 1 or 2, but then there's going to be an absolute overhaul of players that will be available. So it's probably got a benefit if he actually can wait and see what happens as well. So that's probably a good thing as well, that with all what's going on, he's not going to miss out on certain sort of targets he might have missed out on. So which is good.
Yeah, and then let's have a look. What's the next one? Yeah, so what would you say to any of the fans? Have you got any messages for the fans at the minute, Stevenage fans?
Yeah, just I probably can. I do apologise for what's happened. Really, I got brought into that football club to get the club promoted, and yeah, I give it all what I could, but I probably didn't do what I tried to do what I can, but I didn't replicate what I could have done really with clearly what happened. It didn't work out. So yeah, I signed for that football club to get promoted. I did give it all what I can, and yeah, it is devastating what's happened really, because I said I signed a 2-year contract down there to get the club promoted, and it's not worked out. And yeah, I think it's clear to see that certain players are hurtful a lot more than others, and maybe some just didn't really give us. You do get that, so I'm not going to name names in it. I think it's not fair to do
fair
that.
enough. Yeah.
It was one of them dressing rooms that, if I was being personally honest, wasn't one I liked, and you could sort of see there was problems, but you get that. And I've been involved with a dressing room that got relegated from Coventry, and it was quite similar, and it's disappointing. And yeah, with what happened, I can't apologise for what happened. My sort of my family sort of side, and I can't apologise for that, but I didn't really want to move on, and I didn't really want to move on. I wanted to be near my family, and if it's maybe come to the case where the club didn't let me go, because I was under contract, they didn't have to let me go, but I can only sit here and say I'm really thankful to the chairman, to Leon, and to especially Mark and Graham for giving me that thing to go, because I really did need it, and I think they did see that it was best for me to leave. And it was disappointing how it happened, but I am in a lot better place now, where I wasn't. I was really struggling. So yeah, it's disappointing what happened, but it's done now. I know we have to obviously look onto the future, like myself as a footballer, and obviously Stevenage as a football club.
Absolutely, and I see that you've obviously you're with Forest Green. You've just signed a new contract as well at Forest Green, so that's something personally to look forward to for yourself. Another couple of years there.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be there. It's a club that I've been at before. It's near where all my family live, and my wife's due to give birth in a couple of months, and that's another sort of thing I didn't touch on as well. So,
yeah,
sort of them sort of things. It's people don't realise. People just think you're a footballer and you get paid to play and you've got to go out in there every week and do it, but they forget about the person, and that's sort of, for me, you get sort of like an older, you want to be, your family become a lot more important to you, especially when you start having children, that sort of side. And so I lost two family members very close to me, and family sort of become really important. So yeah, I want to be around my family. I don't want to be. I was travelling 2 hours to training every day. I was never home, and I wasn't. It does affect you, and I wasn't happy. So yeah, I'm not going to keep going on about that. But yeah, I'm at a club now where I'm near. Well, obviously I know a lot of, and I'm near my family. So yeah, I'm really enjoying my time there, and hopefully next season is a good one for myself and Forest Green.
And it's good to see, that you're there and you're doing well, you're thriving. So yeah, hopefully Forest Green can do well next season, and have a push towards the playoffs and maybe get promoted or something out of the division. That'd be good to see, and good to see you back up with getting promoted again, because obviously everyone's that the whole Bury situation was horrible. The whole Bury going out of business. I know Bury fans, and they're devastated, and rightly so. They're a great bunch of people and a really good club. So
yeah, to see that football club not there anymore is a real shame, especially when the season we had as well on the football pitch, we ended up getting promoted, and then everyone's really excited. You're going to go into League One, and then boom, it's like the football club is gone. You've got fans who have been supporting that club for hundreds of years, and every week, and you meet fans that tell you all the stories, and it's upsetting, because I was there only a year, but then you've got people who follow that football club for their whole life, and massive part of football clubs are a massive part of people's lives. And even now, I think people are realising that with no football gone, everyone's like, well, what do we do? It's like, what's going on? So I think football's a massive part, and I think everyone, you need that you need a football club to, especially people like football. It becomes part of someone's life. You follow that club, hit up and down the country, and then for them people at Bury now to not have anything, have no club to go and to watch or anything, it's heartbreaking, really. And all what's going on, I think it's going to happen more and more especially with COVID now. You never know what's going to happen with football clubs, and it's a shame, real shame.
And you see it already. It's already started to happen with like Wigan, for example. Wigan were, Premier League, 2012, 2013?
Yeah, see if it can happen to a Championship team like Wigan at the moment, you've got a big stadium with all this sort of history. I said you've got to say be in the Premier League, won the FA
Cup winners, yeah.
Yeah, and that was recent history. That's like not even many moons ago. So yeah, if that stuff can happen to teams, especially teams like Wigan, what's going to happen to teams like in the league, in League Two, League One, that haven't got finances, especially like a Wigan. So I think it's going to be the next few months are going to be really interesting to see what goes on, and I think the Football League are going to have to come up with some ideas that can financially help the clubs, because I say the clubs and especially League Two are going to financially struggle.
Oh, massively. And you can see, it's great to have football back, though. It's, the Premier League, the Championship, the playoffs. It's great to have it back. But how strange is it for, a player to go out there in front of no fans at all and, literally have to try and get up for a game themselves?
I bet it's like playing a reserve game or like an in-house training game. It's just there's no atmosphere. So I think you can see in the Premier League the first few games that there was just no tempo. There was nothing like any thinking. These games are really important football matches at the moment, especially with all what's going on, end up getting relegated, for example. So, or you see like Leicester were absolutely flying before this happened, and now all of a sudden they've not won a game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hit teams in a way that they probably didn't think was going to happen, and then you got Northampton who played Exeter in a final where fans would have been absolutely buzzing for it, going on.
There's no one there. It's like a couple of hundred people, like media people, but you get next to no one.
And there's no one there. And it's like, what the hell's going on? But obviously, football's trying to do what it can to carry on, and it's finding little ways. And if it is what it is at the moment, where you have to play behind closed doors, so be it. But I think it's really important that fans are allowed to come back into games as soon as possible. Really, I think you need it. Really, you need the atmosphere. You need that sort of side, and you need that, especially with League Two clubs as well. You need that side as well.
Oh, 100%. They need the money, the income. It's not just the ticket prices, it's everything. It's the programs, if you're not doing digital programs like Steamage are doing now, the merchandise, anything you're buying the ground, food and drink and stuff, like it all goes back into the club. So,
definitely. That's especially with clubs lower down, not even just obviously in League Two, with National League below. Their budget is relied on fans coming in, paying their money to watch their football team, and that's what it goes to. What you pay your season tickets goes onto the budget. Higher up you go, like the fans sort of coming in the gate doesn't really matter because they get so much money from revenue from the television.
Yeah.
It's sort of irrelevant. But lower down you go, you have that your thing where all them fans come to the game and buying their season tickets affects what happens on the pitch, and you get that sort of community feel. So that's what I sort of like about lower down as well, where it's all everyone's in it together, and you sort of, when you do succeed, it feels like everyone's done it as a group.
Yeah, definitely. So just there's one or two more that I was going to ask in regards to Stevenage. Obviously, you left Stevenage. Did you expect there to be an upturn like after January?
Yeah, you always hope, because with the players we had, if you wrote it on paper, you're thinking, crikey, that's a good squad you've got there. So
yeah,
you're hoping and praying that things do turn around and do come good, and then you get to I was thinking before, like once we're coming up to January, whilst I was there, thinking, get some, because Stevenage is a good club. You've got the facilities, you've got everything there that people you can attract players to.
Yeah,
but then I said it was just we never got the right side. With Graham coming, he completely changed how we wanted to play. He brought players in that maybe weren't good enough level, or I'm not going to criticise players that he brought in, for example, but maybe weren't good enough, and we've never really kicked on, which we've hopefully. I was hoping that would happen, because you always thinking, if we get one result, we get another result, we can push up the table. You never know. Teams have done it before, where they've been at the bottom and then also had a massive run and got into the playoffs. So you are aiming high, but more and more it went on. It was thinking, crikey, we actually need to get out of the relegation zone.
Yeah, definitely. And then, how do you prepare in the build-up to a game? Like, if you've got a game on the Saturday or Tuesday, how do you prepare, like in the hours building up to that?
Being at Stevenage, I live in Coventry, so I was driving in with Danny Newton most days, and for games we used to just drive down in the morning, get food, have a coffee, and just chill out. Really, it was the same sort of routine. Me and him got on really well, and it was nice I had him, really, because it would have been quite a lonely drive driving all that way.
Yeah,
but so me and him spent a lot of time together in the car, and so we used to drive down early in the morning. We were one of the first ones there. Really, we just chilled out, played a bit of darts. Kitman Keith was big darts fan, so
yeah, Keith's cool. Yeah.
we played a lot of darts. Me and Keith.
Everybody loves Keith. It's quite nice that one of the fans has now got into living his dream virtually. So in now being Kitman, he was with us all on the East Terrace, and now he's Kitman Keith.
He was a top lad. So I spent a lot of time with Keith when I was getting early into training in the mornings as well and stuff like that. So did a lot of him. He was big hard worker, and he was always there every hour of the day, probably washing kit or doing whatever. So people like him I see in the football club there's a lot of people like him as well. So it's a really good family club. That sort of side I did really enjoy, and I met a lot of good people. That's
brilliant then. That's great to know. That's the club have won awards for that in the past, so it's good that the standards haven't slipped. So
yeah, one of the football clubs fantastic, and I said with the facilities as well. It's all there for the club to do well. It's just I didn't see it happening. That's why I signed for the football club. I thought it was going to be a really successful time that I've been down there, but I didn't see it happening. I said, but these things happen. Hopefully, it's one step back and hopefully, I have 2 steps forward and carry on, kick on where Stevenson, you never know where it can go.
All right, that seems pretty much covering everything. So, thanks for your time, Chris. It's been excellent talking to you, and best of luck with Forest Green.
Yes, thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, mate.
Bye.
Bye now.